thicker than water. Yes, I would say blood is thicker than water. So in the course of infighting, we realize that the relations of Plato decided to take over the academy. And in this case, Plato's nephew, we call him Speusippus, took over the academy, and then that was how Aristotle was shifted to the background. And when Aristotle was shifted to the background, he decided to come now with his own philosophy, known as, or his own school of philosophy, known as the Lyceum. So we say that the founder of the Lyceum was Aristotle, and he was also the founder of the peripatetic school of philosophy. And again, we say that Aristotle was born in 384 BC at Stagira. Stagira is in Greece, and therefore a person from Stagira is called a Stagirite, and therefore Aristotle was a Stagirite. And he died in 322 BC at Ebao Island, still in Greece. Now, who was his spouse? We say that Aristotle's spouse was known as Pythias. Pythias. Now, how did Aristotle get his philosophy? Who influenced him in his philosophy? He was influenced by Pythagoras. He was influenced by Democritus in his field. Now, going further, I was highlighting the three philosophical era of Aristotle. The first one is ancient philosophy. We have said that he was an ancient philosopher. Again, he belonged to what we call the peripatetic school. Was a school in ancient philosophy whereby teachers did not use to teach the students in a formal setting. Teachers used to teach in groves called ambulation. Ambulation means as you are teaching and moving, the students are behind you. They are following you. They are getting your lectures. So know whether you experience that in the primary school, whereby the head teacher or the class teacher used to take his chair outside, and the student will sit on the grass, and the head teacher will be teaching, and they're sitting on the grass and they're listening to him, not necessarily in the club of teaching, whereby the student used to move behind him as he was going. That is also his era, the era of peripatetic teaching. This is a teaching whereby students were not to sit in class formally using a projector or writing or using a computer, using a laptop. No. Students used to move behind the teacher, and then they are getting what the teacher is saying, and as the teacher is saying, they are going. And that's why we have the word ambulation. They are going and they are going. So this was one of the philosophical era of Aristotle. Now, who were his students? We have three notable students of Aristotle. The first one is the famous Alexander the Great that we know. Then we have Theophrastus, the second one, and the third one is what we call Aristozygmus. So these were his three notable students. We have one, Alexander the Great, two, Theophrastus, and three, Aristozygmus. These were his three notable students. Now, we'll come to what is the main interest of Aristotle. What was his main interest? He was interested in zoology, psychology, he was interested in ethics. So these were the areas of interest of Aristotle. And these areas of interest of Aristotle were put in three main theories, and they were seen in his aesthetics, they were seen in his ethics, and they were seen in his politics. So from these areas, now going to our main interest in the text. Our main interest now, from these, his interests, and from the ethics, we what we call his ethics, which is, or which we're using the text, the Nichomachean ethics. Now, this Nichomachean ethics is one of the best works of Aristotle. Google will tell us that 82% like these books, or this book. 82% of Google users, they like this text, the Nichomachean ethics. And we're going to realize that the Nichomachean ethics, it has a great impact to society, to us, to society. And the Nichomachean ethics, like we said, is his best known work on ethics. And ethics is what again? Ethics is the science of the good for human life. The science of the good for human life, which is the goal or end at which all our actions are aimed. All our actions, they are aimed for us to have a good human life. A good human life. Permit me to go back to our last issues. You go back to last time, you realize that most of the arguments we have, most of the splitting that we have, that people tell in philosophy, is because we want to have a good human life, a good human relationship. And that's why you realize that when each person is touched, the person feels bad because the human life is touched. And therefore, our actions are tailored in such a way that at the end of the day, we can have a good human life. This is essentially the one of the reasons why Aristotle came out with this text. So we say that the aim of the inquiry is therefore political science. You know, man is a political being. Man is a social being. Man is a political being. Political being is that man interacts with his fellow man in the polis, in the states. And also in Lasta, we interact with one another as we know ourselves. As we know ourselves. Therefore, that's why you realize that at times we argue, at times we make fun, at times somebody's annoyed, at times somebody feels bad. That is man. That is man. That is who we are. We live in the states. And so again, the author of this text is Aristotle. And the original language of the text was in Greek. So all what we have now is a translation. All what we have now is a translation. And therefore, what is the Nichomachean ethics according to Aristotle? After introducing the text, what is this text according to him? According to the Greek philosopher Aristotle, he stated that the contemplative life consists of the soul's participation in the eternal. The soul's participation in the eternal. How do we participate in things of the eternal? I think when we talk of things of the eternal here, when we take back to the context of ancient philosophy, the eternal here was not God of the Judeo-Christian tradition that we know. No. The eternal, if you link back to Plato, was the good. When you come back to Plotinus, was the one. Again now, what we are saying here is that the eternal here is a being having the characteristics of God in Judeo-Christian tradition that we know, the eternal. And you also remember that ancient philosophy is the base, is the foundation on which Christian philosophy is labeled. That's why you go back to Christian philosophy, what we call medieval philosophy, and ancient philosophy. You recall that Plato, or you recall that St. Augustine studies Plato, and then St. Thomas Aquinas studied Aristotle. So from there, you can see now the relationship, how the two came with the concept of God. I mean, St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas, they have studied the understanding of that being, of that eternal being, thanks to the understanding of the eternal being in the mind of Aristotle and Plato. So I go back again to the question, to what I asked before coming back to this. The Greek philosopher Aristotle stated that the contemplative life consists of the soul's participation in the internal through a union between the soul's rational faculty and the nous that imparts intelligibility to the cosmos. So what we are just saying here is that the contemplative life consists simply in the soul's participation in the eternal. Now, the life of God, or the life or the understanding of God, it consists in our participation in things of God, or with things of God, with things of heaven, with things of heaven. When we talk of participatory life, we think of let's go back to the monastery. The monks, they live a contemplative life. What is the essence of the contemplative life lived by them? They contemplate things of the eternal, things of God. And that is what Aristotle is saying, telling us. And we're going to realize that how do we contemplate things of the eternal? We contemplate things of the eternal by studying the science of the good human life. Good human life. Remember that it is only the things of the good that will lead us, or that will take us. And in particular, there are two elements that must be true for an act to be voluntary. And the first element is that a person must be in control of his action. A person must be in control of his action. And the second one is that a person must be aware of what he is doing. A person must be aware of what he is doing. Therefore, one of the main focus of the Nichomachean ethics is moral responsibility. We know what we are doing. We act. When we are acting, we know. When we know what we are doing, we know the responsibility, we know the counter effects of what we are doing. And therefore, that is...
I think his network is down. And that's the thing. So I was advising him that we could do the WhatsApp method for now. If people can as well suggest that, I think it will be better.
Yes, I think it's better. It's better we use the WhatsApp method.
Yeah, because this is really slow. And then, with the WhatsApp, we can even listen to the lectures after.
That's true.
Yes.
But with this one, it's a bit difficult because with the network and things like that. I don't know, but
It depends on it.
The network is bad.
Yeah, let me
But- Well, you
we
can
want
get
to
it
end
now.
the meeting now. I'll end the meeting now and then send another link in the group so that we should use to join. Since we are
Okay.
yeah, our time is
Thank
up.
Can't
you.
we just
Let me
WhatsApp
send
at
another link.
once?
Yeah.
Can't we just switch to WhatsApp at once?
All right. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. It's okay.